My name is Gabriel Hindes, and I'm from Newark, Ohio. I graduated from Newark High School. Was born in Columbus, but lived most of my life in Newark. The last time I really went to church was I was 16, and there was a preacher talking about being, recovering alcoholic. And I remember turning to my mom, and I told her, "Oh, so he's done partying, so now he wants to talk about God." And it wasn't until I started working as a loan officer here in Columbus, and there was a guy named Reggie. He's my spiritual mentor now. I talk to him all the time. And basically, I heard him say that he'd been a deacon at a church for 25 years, and something just, I don't know, something just in my heart just opened up, and I wanted to talk to him. And I remember that for 3 days, he tells a story that for 3 days he was, God kept telling him to, open up his Bible and lead me to Christ. And he would forget his Bible, or just, something would happen. And the one day I was feeling sick at work, and he was like, "Well, have you tested your blood sugar?" And I said, "No." And he was like, "Well, let's go check it." And he always kept his little bag in the refrigerator at work. So we go out there, and it wasn't there, So he's like, "I must have left it outside." And so we go down to his car, and they're sitting on his bag. He got his bag out and was getting everything out when it was too cold to actually work. And when he went to go set it down, he saw his Bible there. And that's when God spoke to him and said, "Now's the time." And he read me Romans 10 verse 9. And, I gave my life to Christ in his car. And then during this transition, of me giving my life to Christ, God planted John 3:30 is he must increase, I must decrease. And that's just, I didn't know how to put God first. So I seriously Googled how to put God first and was going just from that. I got hurt in the military, I hurt my back. And about 9 years ago, the doctor started putting me on Oxycontins and all kinds of pills. And it was the worst 2 years of my life, because even though my back wasn't hurting as much, I couldn't get away from them. And I went to detox twice. Both times I, ended up going back to using. At first it was for healing. I needed the pills for, because of my back, and I became dependent on them. And I, again, about 3 years ago, when I went to summer camp with our youth, the youth prayed over me, and they asked me what I needed prayer for. And I told them my back, because I have 2 herniated discs in the middle of my back, and I also have a chipped bone in my lower spine, or one of the lower vertebrae, the bone chipped off. And the doctors told me that I'd never be able to carry anything over a gallon of milk, and I wouldn't be able to coach again. And so one of the things I learned was that instead of depending on the pills, was to depend on God. And when they prayed over me, my back, I can't explain it, but it taught me the power of prayer. That's really what, to go to him first that's the biggest thing that I learned. Life is so much better out of that cycle. It's a tough cycle to get out of, but once you're out of there, it just opens up just life again. You have a purpose again. The circle of friends that I went from before the drugs into, it was just not somebody I would normally be around, So if you're in that situation, I would just, I would encourage you to find the right people by going to church. It's not, God is anywhere we are. So church isn't just the building, but it's the fellowship of the people. When I got around, good people, they encouraged me and helped me through this. Because when I first started going to church, they knew that I had been using. So they just encouraged me every day. It was almost like having a room full of accountability partners that just showed me love, And the other thing is just, man, find me, talk to me about it. I lead a Celebrate Recovery group at More Life Church right now. And it's something that, when it just changes your mindset, it gives you something else to focus on. And that, when I put God in that aspect, I don't think about my aches and pains. I think the hardest part about that was not seeing the end. And it's that leap of faith, just, reading, I would see the stories and how, no matter what, they kept going, and they had to trust in God. That's what, we're called to do, is just have that faith. And I felt it on the inside that there was something better. There was something I had to change. And so I would just make sure that I kept reading, I kept focused on the end result. I knew that, in the Bible it talks about grace and mercy. We're not under the old covenant. We're under the new one, and it's grace and mercy. And when I read, his grace is sufficient, I just held on to that verse, because even if the Apostle Paul that had a thorn in his side and had problems, that he tried to do the right thing, I knew that I wasn't far off. I was trying to do the right thing, but I would go back to it. And so it just became a struggle. But I just knew it wasn't just me. I had with my kids, and I knew I was here for a bigger purpose than just what my life was becoming at that point.